Welcome everyone. I'm Tracy Fitzpatrick and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at Netcom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are very excited to host today's event, Accelerate Your Business Growth with Microsoft Power BI. Presenting today's topic is Brent Dawson. Brent is a Microsoft certified trainer with over 20 years of experience in the technology industry. Brent is also a Microsoft Dynamics architect who specializes in information security architecture, Azure DevOps, CISSP, SQL Server Administration, and architecture and enterprise architecture. He has delivered comprehensive Microsoft infrastructure and security training, giving his students the tools they need to build, maintain, and secure their Microsoft network infrastructure. Now, please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic. We offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored to your specific requirements. If you are interested in a further discussion, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you'll get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. Netcom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organizations by achieving a smarter workforce, adapting to change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We do have 9 practice areas in which we specialize. They encompass people, process, and technology training. Today's presentation is from the Business Application Practice area. Netcom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio of courses for the topic being covered today. Our upcoming classes include various trainings on the given courses. You can also access a variety of marketing assets, such as the free training and blogs, by clicking on the available event handout. These offerings can be found with a simple search on our website at netcomlearning.com. Today's session will cover career perspectives in the PL300 Power BI Data Analyst course, including the role of data analyst, which also offers best practices for data modeling, visualizing, and analyzing with the Power BI. This session will also guide you on how to build paginated reports within the Power BI service and publish them to your workplace. And now I would like to give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started. To begin with, you do have the option to view in full screen by clicking on the full screen button on the right side of the GoToWebinar viewer. Simply hit the escape key to exit the full screen. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters. Feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters here in the questions pane, and we will address them at the end of the session. And to get the best out of today's events, we've included the slides, courses we talk about, and marketing assets in the handouts section of your GoToWebinar viewer. You may refer to them at any time to get a better understanding of today's topic. And we do realize that some of you may have to leave early and want to let you know that as you do leave the session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to take a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience and improve our future sessions for you. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. And now I'd like to pass this over to our trainer to present today's topic. Hey Brent, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hello, and thanks for the wonderful introduction. I hope that I am audible and you can see my screen.
Yes, you are audible and we can see your screen. Everything looks great.
Thanks so much. Hello, everybody, and as was mentioned, welcome to the masterclass on Power BI. My name is Brent Dawson. I am a Microsoft Tech instructor. I have been for about the last 25 years. and I currently live in London, UK. I've got a fair amount of experience with Power BI and the Power Platform, and most of the time, my daily job is as a solutions architect in Dynamics 365. So let's get the presentation started, and we're going to start off by looking at an overview, at a high-level view of what Power BI is and how we can use it to get your business to grow using different types of data that you have in your organization and ways that we can make things much more efficient for you. So we're going to break it down into 4 sections for today. The first section, we're going to look at an introduction to Power BI and sort of where it's come from and what it's used for and that sort of thing, and some of the different features that make up the tool. The second one is taking a look at the Power BI ecosystem in terms of all of the different components that make up Power BI, the different architecture that's used to work with the different components. Then we're going to look at Power BI reporting. And so here we'll take a look at the development processes for creating a Power BI report, sort of walking through the steps of the requirements to get a Power BI report developed and displayed to an end user. And then lastly, we'll take a look at one of the most favorite topics that most people have. And of course, that deals with licensing and pricing of Power BI and trying to make sense of how that actually works in the real world. So to start off with, as a sort of a high-level introduction, Power BI is a collection of software services, apps, and connectors. So when you start using Power BI, you're probably thinking, okay, so Power BI is this visualization tool that we have that can allow us to see what the data looks like. So if you think about, in the olden days, when I say olden days, 5 years ago, we used to create reports in tools such as SQL Server reporting services, or even Excel for that matter. And generally, those reports were static, columnar, tabular reports, where you have, columns and rows of information, numbers, and that sort of stuff that you would look at and you would go, oh, wow, how do I actually do anything with this? And then Microsoft brought out 2 tools, one called Power Pivot and another called Power Query, where you basically could pivot through or query through those records in those reports to be able to suss out some sort of information that would be useful for that organization. Maybe you were looking at, as an example, sales trends. So you could figure out, companies really like this type of monitor. I need to make more of them so that I have them in stock, or those sorts of things. Or they know that they like these types of features in some certain type of device, so we need to create new devices that still have those extra features. So things like that allowed for an organization to be able to grow their business and become more financially sustainable. After a while, a lot of sort of graphical tools came out. There were tools such as Jet Reports and Tableau and other types of visualization tools. And Microsoft decided that, okay, well, we're getting really heavy into business applications and application management and reporting. We need to have our own visualization tool. And that's where Power BI came from. It's part of the Power Platform, which is included in Dynamics 365. And so it works integrated and seamlessly with other Dynamics applications to be able to present information. So you can see on the screen here that we have 3 different sort of versions of how Power BI is used. We can use it on a laptop, we can use it on a mobile device, we could use it on a tablet, but we also have different versions of the actual application that run on each of those different devices as well. And so, the important thing to realize is that the whole idea of Power BI is to create visualizations from a wide range of different types of data sources. This might be Excel spreadsheets, this might be cloud-based or on-prem based data sources such as SQL Server. It could be other types of business applications that you have. It could be a SaaS-based application that you're connecting to. There's a number of different types of data stores that the tool has the ability to work with. And once you start using the tool, you'll start to understand just how powerful it is, because it does give you the opportunity to work with all of those different types of data structures and data storage types pretty much right out of the box. You don't have to create anything from scratch. The other thing, of course, is that with Power BI is that you can create interactive dashboards. You can create reports, you can create visualizations, or any of those sorts of combinations of things that can be easily shared with others. You present them as a web page, or you present them as an embedded Power BI graphic into an application, something of that nature, and then those individual people that are actually using that application have the ability to work with that piece of data. The other thing that makes it useful is that it is a versatile tool. So you can be used across a number of different industries, right? You could use it in the finance industry, you can use it in the healthcare industry, marketing, sales, and sales and all sorts of different things. And generally, the goal of it is to drive business growth and success. As an example, I have a relative who graduated from university 2 years ago with a degree in statistics. He's much better at math than I am, although I'm much better at computers than he is, so I guess it kind of balances itself out. But his full-time job is working for a bank generating Power BI reports. So he creates monthly visualized reports for the executive and the board of directors. He helps create, advertising materials and financial information and reports and stuff for the bank's members and for their investors. And so generally, he just lives and spends most of his time in the Power BI environment to generate these different reports for them. So let's take a look at the different types of Power BI components and features that are available to us as part of the whole platform, because it's not just an individual tool. It's a number of different tools made up that give us this whole platform. So first of all, the tool that you see on the screen is called Power BI Desktop. So Power BI Desktop is the first part of the framework or the architecture that you would use to actually generate the reports, and using different types of visualization components, make a dashboard or make a report that somebody can use. Okay, so here we're going to use different data sources, whether it's a static data source or a streamed data source, that will allow us to generate this report that somebody is going to be able to see. Okay, now Power BI Desktop, luckily, is free. Everybody can download it. Anybody can learn how to use it. You can build all sorts of interesting different things. It's when you get into more of the hosting side of the reports that you start paying a fee for it. But let's take a look at the different features. So obviously, as I said, Power BI is how we're going to create the visualizations, charts, graphs, maps, all that sort of stuff. And this is the graphical way that we can use to understand the data that's in the organization and make it more useful, right? A lot of times you'll hear organizations do something called digital transformations, where they're taking a lot of the data that they have in their organization and making it into more usable information, rather than just having all of this stuff somewhere and not knowing what it is or how to use it or what it's trying to tell you. So the tool is generally there to do the visualization component, but also create data models. So a data model is where Power BI will allow you to create the relationships between the different types of data that you have in your environment. Now, there's two ways to present data that exists in the system. The first way is to present it as static data. Of course, if you've read anything about the Power Platform, you've understood what the Dataverse is. Well, in Power BI Desktop, you can model the data by creating your own report structure in the system. So basically what you do is you import the data from a data store, you create a table structure in the Dataverse, you store all of the data points in there, and then you generate your visualizations off of those data points. Okay. The advantage to that, of course, is that the data rarely changes, and when it updates, the system will update the data in the back end, and then therefore it'll also update the report. The other way of getting data into it is using what's referred to as streaming data. And that's data that is not stored locally in the data set or data model within Power BI, but is connected to from other external sources. That's where data integration comes in. And those integrations can include the different data sources from things like Excel, SQL Server, Oracle, whatever types of other cloud-based or on-premise-based data sources that you have. But there are well over 300 different types of connections that you can create in Power BI and places that you can pull data from to be able to display across the different locations. Collaboration, of course, the whole point of this is to be able to collaborate on the data that you have, and it allows users to collaborate not only the reports and the dashboards using real-time connectors, but also makes it easier to share those insights and those collaborations with other colleagues in the organization. So as an example, you might start off by programming a Power BI report in Power BI Desktop, and then you pass that file, the PBIX file, which contains all of the structure of the report, to a coworker, and then they can work on it, or you can work on it together in a shared environment and that sort of thing. So as I mentioned, Power BI Desktop is our primary tool here that we're going to create all of our visualizations. It's where we're going to publish the reports from. It has all of the different types of visualizations that you can see, all of which are drag and drop. You basically have a canvas and you're just going to draw on it. Okay, so you by using these drag and drop components, you can create different types of reports and dashboards from those different components. You also have Power BI visuals, which includes all of the different types of visualizations. So the bar charts and donut charts and pie charts and all those sorts of fun things. You have the data transformation components, where if you're using data that you're hosting in your own data store, you can transform and clean it and reshape it that you need to before you create the visualizations. And then we also have Power BI services. Okay, so what are Power BI services? Well, Power BI services is the actual processing of the data that we generate. Okay, so here we have what's referred to as my space or my workspace. In this particular case, you're looking at a financial dashboard. And really what this is that it's a cloud-based service that you would use to publish, share, and collaborate on the different reports and dashboards. So you create the dashboard and the report in Power BI Desktop. Once you get it created to the structure that you want, you then need to be able to present it to other people. And by publishing it into the workspace or into a dashboard, that's how people would be able to see that information. Now, in this particular case that we're looking at, this is your own personal workspace, but you also have the ability to create shared workspaces. And in those shared workspaces, you would republish the dashboard and give people access to it. You'll also notice on this screen that it gives you the opportunity to do things like asking a standard question, right? You might say, tell me what the gross sales are for 2014. And it will come back and tell you, based on the question that it understands, because it can parse the English language, it'll come back and tell you exactly what it is that the sales were for 2014, as an example. And this Power BI service works in two ways. It gives you desktop application service, so like as a standard web page, but it also gives you mobile access. So Power BI service will also let users access their reports and dashboards on a variety of different types of mobile devices, right? Using just the standard capabilities of that device. So whether it's an Apple device or an Android device or a Windows device, all of those types of systems can be able to access the same types of visualizations and reports that you've got on that you would have on a normal web page, but more sort of on the go. So, if you're at a customer site, if you've got a tablet, you can open up the visualization on the tablet and you can show the customer, sales trends and purchase items and, that sort of information as well. This, of course, gives you the capability to collaborate in real time. So you can share all those insights that you've created and you can work together on those pieces of information. And it also gives you the ability to secure information. So Power BI Service includes a variety of security features, including role-based access control, data encryption, and other types of methods to protect the data. And that's important because you want to make sure that people are only able to see the data that they're allowed to see. You, as the developer of a report, might have more access to certain types of data than other people would, but by using the security components that exist in Power BI, you can restrict who can see what types of information based on the role that they have in the system. Data also needs to be refreshed on a regular basis because, of course, data is only good as, or the report is only as good as the amount of data that you have in it. So the Power BI service also enables users to schedule data refreshes for their reports and dashboards to make sure that the data is always up to date. Now, that might be based on when the report is executed, or it might be based on a time frame. In any case, you can specify how and when you want that data to be updated for the users. Another component that we have is called Power BI Embedded. Now, Power BI has the capability of being included into different types of applications. So if you're a user of Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management, as an example, you would have the ability to embed Power BI visualizations directly into that application. So Power BI Embedded is just basically, it's a cloud-based platform as a service, which is offered by Microsoft, that gives developers the ability to embed Power BI reports and dashboards into other applications, right? So there's 2 or 3 things that make this work and work correctly, including the capability of actually embedding the Power BI report. So you would develop the Power BI report and dashboard, and then you would embed it into a different type of application. Could be a Power Platform application, Power App, could, as I said, by Dynamics 365, it could be anything. As long as whatever it is that you're deploying it into supports iframes, which is what the static, or which is what the basis of the report is made of, then you'll be able to actually embed those data visualizations into the context of their own applications. And the important thing to understand is that when you're creating an embedded application or an embedded visualization, you're not actually creating the visualization that lives specifically in that application. So you still have to create the report in desktop. You still have to publish it to Power BI Service into a workspace, but you then have the ability to embed that workspace visualization into your own application. Right. So when it's basically what it's doing is that when you click on the visualization in your application, it's sort of just a hot link that points to the report or the visualization dashboard, whatever, in Power BI Service. Right. So it just means that the user doesn't have to leave the application that they're in to go to the dashboard to view it and then come back and so forth. And so this is really cool because it allows different types of individuals to be able to view the data in the tool that they're working in, right? So if you're a sales manager, as an example, let's say that you're the sales manager for Netcom Learning, and you want to know how well all of your sales associates are doing this month, and you use Dynamics 365 Finance to be able to manage all of your sales and financial reports. You could just log in the morning as the sales manager, and once you reach your login front page, your login workspace, you'll be able to see right there and then sort of the statistics that you might see as an example in this slide right here, where you're looking at the KPI metrics for your salespeople. How many people are selling what, where are they selling to, who's my top salesperson. Is anybody not going to hit their targets for the week or the day, or those sorts of things, right? So there's all sorts of different types of information that you can post into those embedded dashboards. It allows you to customize them. It allows you to make them scalable because the cloud platform, the Azure cloud platform is the back end for it. So, if you need to scale the embedded solution to make it allow for have more access to resources, then that can be done. Obviously, there's a number of developer tools, which we mentioned. There's some developer tools from the embedded side, but most of them are from the desktop, although there are certain types of APIs and SDKs that are available to help you develop the different types of reports. And basically, overall, those 3 tools or 4 tools, Power BI, Desktop, Services, and Embedded, give you the most powerful range of features that enable users and developers to create and share data-driven insights into visualizations. There are no other tools, or there is no other tool other than Power BI, which gives you all of those capabilities in the same application platform. You can't do it with just about any other application. In fact, there isn't any other application that will. Power BI is the only one that gives you all of that power to work with all of those different types of implementations and platforms in the market, which is one of the reasons why it has been in the top of the Gartner quadrant for many, many, many years. So let's take a look at sort of the history behind the ecosystem and how it works and sort of the architecture of the system. So Power BI was first introduced by Microsoft all the way back in 2013. In my mind, when I read that and putting the slide deck together, I was like, wow, that really was that far long ago, and actually it was. Originally it was called the Business Intelligence Service for Office 365. And really at the time, the service allowed users to connect to various data sources, create interactive reports and dashboards, and share their insights with others. Some of you may have remembered these tools coming from Excel. So there was Power Query, Power View, Power Report, and Power Pivot. So those sorts of power tools are what generally started and made up the Power BI application. There was also Power BI Report Server, which is pretty much no longer supported because we have the Power BI service. As well, we have a couple of different types of Power BI sort of service deployments, which we'll talk about in a minute. But with this, we've got Power BI Mobile, which supports users being able to view and interact with reports on smartphones and tablets. The app is available on pretty much every platform. So we've got iOS and Android services, and as well other types of features as well. We have the Power BI Premium, which is a paid version of Power BI that provides a level of features and capabilities for large scale organizations. And so Power BI also comes with a standard version, which is a scaled back version, but doesn't give you as many capabilities as some of the premium features that we have. There's the Power BI Data Gateway, which is a data connector that allows you to connect to on-prem data sources. And Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View. And again, these are different data visualization tools that allow users to create interactive charts. Now, so if we look at this slide where we're talking about sort of the high level of the architecture, Power BI is a component that fits into the whole data science, data management platform, right? So the way that we would look at it is that we have different types of data sources. So we have on-premise data, we have cloud data, we have devices data, we have SaaS solution data, and that data gets ingested into an application. In this particular example that we're looking at a big data sort of scenario where we might have a data lake or something of that nature, where we're putting data into a platform that we're then going to manipulate. So the data gets ingested, it goes through some sort of data preparation, some sort of ETL process, and then it's stored in some sort of data storage. Now, this could be done in a data lake. It could be done in a data warehouse that's stored in SQL Server in the cloud or on-prem. But the data has been processed and it's been, cleaned up. From there, we may execute different types of reporting against it. It might be using machine learning, so we might have artificial intelligence that we're running against it. We might be doing some sort of semantic models using business intelligence for things like Sparks or Hadoop or any of those sorts of large-scale data analysis tools. And then from there, we would use Power BI to generate the outgoing report. Okay, and so that's an example of a large data project that would be using, a big data lake sort of scenario. But we also have, the capability of creating Power BI architecture for smaller types of data as well. So in this example here, we've got, data that's coming in from a number of locations. We have our standard business analyst tools, which would be things like Power BI Designer or Power BI Desktop and Excel, right? We have our on-premise data sources as an example. So we would have things like SQL Server analysis services. We would have, a number of different databases that the data would be stored from. And from there, we will then start using the cloud to help present that information. So we would use things like Azure Data Services, Office 365, Dynamics 365, or different partner apps, which would then filter in and be used as a data source for Power BI. But we might also use non-Microsoft systems as well. We might have a SaaS-based program. We might have IoT sensors that are going to integrate into the system. We may have data streams that we're using from third-party applications. We might then also be able to manipulate that data and merge it with other types of data to generate a report, right? So as an example, let's say that we're working in a building that uses IoT sensors to record temperatures in a building, right? So in a lot of modern buildings now, when they put in the HVAC systems, the heating and cooling systems, they have sensors built into the system so that throughout the facility, they'll be able to monitor the temperature and report it back instantaneously to sort of a centralized recording system, which can then be used to execute things like, turning on the air conditioning or turning on the heat or maybe closing some blinds or something of that nature to make the temperature more sustainable or more comfortable for the individuals that are there. So if you think about the last time that you were in an airport, right? And if you think about how big airports are and the way that they're designed in terms of the structure of them and how high the ceilings are and how many windows they have in them and all that sort of stuff, depending upon which direction the airport faces, if it's an east, west, north, south type of thing, you could get a whole lot of heat in the middle of the day, baking down on people. And of course, you also have body temperatures, increasing the temperatures of the building. Most airports have restaurants and all sorts of other things. And of course, when you cook food, the heat's going to build and build and build. And so we need to come up with a way that we can track not only the current temperature in the building using the IoT devices, but we also need to be able to track the history of it to see kind of where we're going, and we can predictively analyze how we need to cool the building down, right? So here we're going to be using a number of the different components. We might have, Azure Data Services, which is connecting to an IoT stream that's pulling data in. We may have a database that has recorded all of the previous records for the previous day of all of the temperature settings. And so, at the end of the week, as the head of maintenance or the building management people, I want to know, what the running temperatures were all week. And so by using Power BI, I can tap into all of those different data sources. I can extract the pieces of information that are important to the type of report that I want, and then I can generate that report. I then generate, after I generate the report, I then publish it to a dashboard. That dashboard is now available publicly, and people can go in and see, okay, the temperature spiked at this time of day, and it was lower at this time of day, and the system automatically kicked in over these periods of time, and I have the ability to now know all of this other pieces of information. Not only, though, do I have the ability to view it at my desktop, I could take my tablet around the airport terminal and I can go into different places and have it tell me, the exact same information on that report that I saw on the report that I would see in my, my desktop sort of scenario. So at this point, we've looked primarily at sort of the infrastructure around Power BI and sort of the components that make up the architecture and sort of how it would be used in a day-to-day scenario to be able to work with the information that's available to you. The next thing we want to look at is, how do I actually build something out of this, right? I need to understand what it is that I am going to do in terms of making the system produce a report that is usable by me, and sort of the idea of where that information comes from. And so the next thing I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about Power BI report development. So when I'm creating a visualization, the first thing I need to do is I need to create a report for that visualization. And the process of developing a report it's a relatively simple process, but there are a number of steps that need to be executed for that report to work properly. Okay, and it can be broken down into 4 different layers of the report generation. The first layer is the actual analysis, building, and collection of data for your data model. Okay, and here we're going to do 4 different types of things in this particular collection of information. First of all, we're going to specify what the requirements are for the data that we need. Right? We need to understand the data that we're reporting with. Next, we need to connect to the data wherever that data lives, whether it's an on-premise data or something in the cloud or something that you're connecting to that somebody else has that you've been given access to. Then we're going to connect to that data and be able to transform that data. Then we're going to build the data model. Now, the data model may be built for you based on the type of data that you're connecting to. So you may decide that the data model that you want will be used based on the different tables, columns, and relationships that you want to manually generate for your report. Okay? Or you may just choose a data model that's been created for you or that already exists, so you don't actually have to create one from scratch. Understanding the data model is important. In fact, this is probably one of the most critical steps to help organize and structure the data so that your analysis and your visualizations will actually be valid. If you have a bad data model, you will have a bad visualization. As they say, garbage in, garbage out. So if the data that you put into it is not very good, the data that you're going to get out of it is going to be equally as bad, right? So you want to make sure that you spend a good amount of time on your data model so that your visualizations will work properly. As part of the data transformation process, again, we're going to be using tools like DAX, which is an analysis language that exists within Power BI. And this will be used to create things like measures and so forth. So if you've ever done any analysis services with multi-dimensional arrays or tabular reports, and you've created things like measures and data marts and those sorts of things, then that will give you'll have some understanding of how those types of tools actually work. Once you've done that, and that takes up a fair amount of time, the next thing we want to do is go into the report design sort of phase of a development project. And so here we're going to set up things like branding, right? This is where we get to the look and feel of the organizational structure, right? This is where marketing tends to come in, and what colors should I use, and do I need to put a logo in, and all that sort of fun stuff. Just as an aside, from a project's point of view, and as an SA myself, try to get them involved early on in the process. You don't want to go to marketing like just before go live and say, here, I've created this, and then have marketing go, oh no, this is wrong, the font's wrong, the color's wrong. you need to do this and this and this and delay your go live. So try and bring them into the process as early as possible. After the branding has been completed, you'll want to make sure that you define your report layout so that it has a good flow to it. And then from there, you're going to build your report and add the visualizations that will actually display the information that you're trying to communicate with the other individuals. From there, you'll have potentially creation of advanced visualization features, which may include things such as interaction, things with Power Query, Power Pivot, those sorts of things. And then once you've created that sort of structure, you need to then prepare to share the report. Sharing the report, again, is going to be deploying it into the Power BI service. Here you're going to be able to specify things like row-level security, maybe a setup for question and answer, so that if you want to be able to have people ask questions within the system, you can allow for that. You can also then create your workspace that is going to live in Power BI service. I suggest that you put everything into My Workspace first, because only you will be able to see the visualizations in the report format that way, or in the published format that way. And then you can make sure that everything looks and views properly before you deliver it out to the general public. Once you've done that, then you'll publish the report into the Power BI service. And then lastly is sharing the report with the rest of the world. So here you're going to set up data gateways as an example, so the data can be refreshed as required. You'll also set up a potential refresh schedule, right? Depending upon the type of report, will determine how it's going to be refreshed and what the frequency will be refreshed. That frequency is also managed by the type of Power BI service licensing that you have. If you have a Power BI Pro, you're restricted to 8 refreshes in a 24-hour period. If you're using Power BI Premium, there's no limit to the number of refreshes that you can complete. You'll also want to validate your row-level security and make sure that that's working correctly. And then you'll configure and publish the Power BI app and ultimately share it with the end users, whether that's through the mobile apps or through a desktop app, or however it is that you're going to share it with them. The bottom part, of course, is governance, which is important, and we'll talk about governance here in a second. But governance is important because this is how you're going to specify what and how and who and where the data can be shared with other individuals. So overall, the Power BI report development involves a combination of data modeling, data transformation, visualization design, and report publishing, right? And pretty much everything in the Power BI platform is relatively easy to use from an end user's point of view, okay? So here is, again, we could see another example where we're pulling data from a number of different types of data sources. So again, we're ingesting the data, we're preparing that data, we're cleansing it, we're doing transformations on it. We're then going to model that data, whether it's through data warehouse or some other semantic model, and then ultimately serve that information and serve that data to end users through a report and a dashboard. Now, this slide's a little hard to read, but I tried to condense, I should have done it in a couple of them, but I tried to make it as easy as possible to sort of follow the flow of Power BI development. So here you've got on the left-hand side, again, the data sources, all of your different cloud or on-premise sources, the different ways and type of completing content authoring, and sort of the way that you can extract and combine external tools and different services into the content authoring component. Then the third column deals with the content delivery and sort of collaboration, and how you can use the Power BI service to integrate with tools such as Power Apps or SharePoint sites, public websites, Microsoft Teams, Power BI reporting services, and other related services such as Azure Portal services or Dynamics 365 or any of those sorts of different types of tools. And then lastly, the last column shows you sort of the administration side of report development. So the, what you need for Microsoft 365 and what you need for Azure Active Directory and security compliance and so forth. And so this chart here, which this slide deck will be available to you in your portal package at the end of the presentation, you can open this up and you can basically look and see all of the different components and all of the different sort of services and related features that can be used and integrated together to generate your Power BI implementation. All right, so before we continue on to the next section, let's take a short break and we'll come back in a few minutes.
Sure, we are now going to take a 5-minute break, but before we do that, we are going to launch a quick poll that we want to invite you to participate in. Doing so helps us know how we can better serve you by telling us who might be interested in more information or in taking some additional training. In addition, we have a lot more informative webinars coming up, so please go to netcomlearning.com/webinars in order to register.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's pick up from where we left off before the break. And then lastly, to just break it down in terms of sort of an architecture point of view, again, breaking it into sort of the 3 components or 4 components that make up the way that a Power BI report executes. Here we've got our data sources, right? So again, here we're looking at on the Azure platform. So we might have an Azure data source, or we have an external data source that we're connecting into Azure. We have a data gateway that we're connecting into an on-premise network. And then from there, we're going to ingest it. Now, in the Azure platform, we're going to put it into what's called a storage blob. And for any of you that have attended any of the Azure masterclass sessions, or you've used Azure before, you'll know that storage blob stands for storage binary large object, which is just unstructured file data that you're going to be storing into the Azure platform, right? So this is just sort of normal file data or table data that you're putting in that you'll be able to access through other applications. From there, in the data factory, which is a tool that's in Azure, you're going to be creating a storage process or a storage structure using something called Azure Synapse. And that Azure Synapse is the way that you're going to transform and manage the data, in this particular case, in a data factory or in an Azure data storage function. You'll then be able to have authorization and authentication of the access to that data via Azure Active Directory. So this is how you would specify who has access to what information and when that information can be accessed and who's allowed to access it and that sort of thing. And then lastly, from there, you'll be able to get into the analysis components. So you'll be able to then, do the analysis of the data, whether it's artificial intelligence through machine learning or AI or some other sorts of analysis. And then the results of that analysis can then be generated and pumped out into a Power BI visualization. So that, again, is sort of the high-level architecture that we're going to use and take to be able to push that information all the way from, the source that it lives in to the destination that ultimately will ultimately generate a report for an end user. So that's sort of the general idea of how to create a developed report and a visualization in Power BI. Okay, so the last topic that we're going to talk about, and the one that I have the least love for in pretty much any application that I use, is the Power BI licensing and pricing instructions. And so what I did here is a couple of things. First of all, I broke it down into the different platforms. So we've got Desktop, BI Pro, and BI Premium. But one of the things I want to mention before I continue on at this point is that in the discussion that we're talking about here, a lot of the information that you might see if there's a price or something that's listed is for retail pricing. Now, pretty much every organization on the planet doesn't pay retail pricing for pretty much anything from Microsoft. So if you have an enterprise license agreement or an assurance agreement or something of that nature, you will have a much less price that you'll pay for each of those different applications. For Microsoft, whether it's a Power BI or Office or whatever it happens to be. So just keep that in mind as you're looking at some of the data that exists on some of these slides. We'll take a look at each one of the different types of applications individually. And the first one we're going to look at is Power BI Desktop. So this is the free version. It's best suited for companies that don't have a business intelligence or data sciences budget. So you're the individual person who's responsible for creating the visualizations and the reports. If you're sort of a one-man band, and you're the only one who's going to be using the visualizations, you may only need to have Power BI Desktop at most. You might not even need to have Power BI Service Pro or Premium to be able to pass the information around, okay? And so it's included as part of pretty much all the Office 365 plans. And so there's no restriction on the number of data that you pull in. It also lets you clean and prepare the data as much as you need to. And build your visualizations without any restrictions. This is also the tool that you'll use to obviously build out dashboards and reports that you'll then share out to other organizational users. And again, it's just a way for you to be able to build out and build up your visualizations for an organization. Another use for this particular tool would be for a business that has less data to analyze, or a small amount of data or small amount of data sets that you need to analyze. And again, it could also be a smaller solo business. Like, for instance, my own company that I have, there's just myself, and that's it, right? So, I might create the odd presentation that I will display for other people, but generally speaking, it's for my own internal purposes. Now, Power BI Pro is sort of the first paid-for version of Power BI. And so Power BI Pro is the full license-based version. It comes with the capabilities to build dashboards, reporting, and share reports, which is not the available component in desktop. And Power BI is for businesses that require many users to have the capability to create and share the reports. Okay, and so the Power BI Pro license has all of the features that the desktop version does. It comes as part of Office 365 Enterprise E5 licenses. If you have an E3, it's not. You have to pay for it separately. But if you have an E5, it does. And it's geared towards medium and large-scale businesses. It's built towards corporations with big data and data science. And it allows for multi-location businesses. Not sure what happened to that slide, but I thought I fixed that, but sorry about the bad spelling there. But basically, it's there for you to be able to work with large amounts of data for a large organization. And so in this particular example, we're looking at it from the point of view of, I have a number of people that need to be able to create reports. I need to be able to share those reports amongst a large number of users, and therefore I'm going to create a Power BI Pro dashboard workspace that I can use from. Now, if you're not using it, in terms of high level and high refresh rates and that sort of stuff, because it comes as part of an E5 license from Microsoft, it's more than likely good enough to handle what it is that you need to do to be able to present that information. So some other things about Power BI Pro and Power BI Desktop that's important. Again, Power BI Desktop and Pro both have the same data capacity limits, which is 10 gigabytes. Power BI Desktop allows you to access resources through mobile devices. It also allows you to integrate with other apps and content packs, including Dynamics and Analytics. There are some that you can download and purchase from AppSource as well that will help you create visualizations. Power BI Pro and Desktop allow you to import data from a number of sources such as CSVs, Excel files, and other applications. However, Power BI Desktop does not allow you to publish your reports and web dashboards to the web privately. It has to be a publicly displayed web page, or sorry, not publicly displayed, publicly hosted website. So that's part of the Power BI Pro. Desktop has a maximum of 8 data refreshes a day with a minimum of 30 minutes between each. Basically means that you can't update your results in your system more than 8 times a day. And Power BI Desktop does not integrate with Office 365. So again, you can't export CSV or PPTX files. It's not the best solutions when you're looking at allowing your users to use Office 365 groups in Power BI. Does not allow you to share reports with other BI users, and Power BI Desktop does not allow you to view reports and dashboards from Pro license users. Again, so those are the limitations and the restrictions of Power BI Desktop in terms of using it from Power BI Pro or Power BI Premium. Power BI Premium is sort of the highest that you'll have. It's for large-scale businesses that have very large data sets. It works exactly the same as the other versions, except that it's going to be using a much greater amount of information. It'll allow you to store up to 1 terabyte of data from OneDrive. It gives you 24/7 support. It gives you up to access of 50 gigabit mailboxes and custom email addresses and that sort of stuff. All of the things that you would get from an Office 365 high-end level agreement. So an E5 and E6, those sorts of agreements. And as I was specifying earlier, here's some examples of prices. Now, again, these are in US dollars. These are what the retail prices are, but it gives you an idea of what the pricing is from the Microsoft side. And so I've just included these as screenshots from the Microsoft website so you get an idea. So Power BI Pro, if it's not part of your E5 license, if you don't have an E5 license, it's $10 per user per month. If you have Power BI Premium, you could buy either individual user licenses at $20 per user per month, or you could buy what's referred to as an organization or a per capacity license, which is $4,995 per month. And basically that gives you unlimited access for data connectors, right? So there's no per user license fees to consume the data. Whereas in Power BI Premium per user, it's $20 per user per month. And here we've got an example of some of the features that are available in each of the 3 platforms, right? So capability for mobile access, publishing reports, having page-nated reports, the ability to consume content without a per user license, and also allow for on-premise reporting with Power BI Report Server. We can also see some of the other limitations. So again, the model size limits, the refresh rates per day, and other connectors such as embedding APIs, AI visualizations, data flows, data mart creations, and lastly, governance and administration. So looking at data security and encryption, having metrics for content creation, allowing for application lifecycle management. So if you're using things like DevOps, you can control how that information is stored there. Also, Premium gives you the capability of doing geo deployments, bring your own keys, auto scaling, and maximum storage sizes of 100 terabytes. So that brings us to the end of the presentation in terms of how Power BI can be used within an organization and be able to generate a report and present information, and gives you a high level of sort of the architecture behind it. And even though this has been sort of a quick version of some of the things that you can do in the system and the environment, it is by all means not all of the information that you can get on this subject. So let's take a look at a little bit around the training side of the system and how I can learn how to use this efficiently and effectively. And so we're going to take a look at sort of the idea of the hands-on learning and hands-on lab exercises that you can use through Netcom to be able to learn how to use this tool. So when you take a training course through Netcom, one of the benefits that you're going to get out of this is the ability to go and write an exam. So the exam that's related to this particular course is PL 300, which is the Power BI exam. And it's been shown that when you get certified, one of the things that it helps you do is it helps you stand out as an employee, right? You get greater recognition. You know, you can validate that I actually understand how the tool works and that I can use it efficiently, and that you know, I'm going to give you some financial advantage of using it, using me to use the tool over another individual person who hasn't been certified. But it also helps you to potentially earn more. 23% of Microsoft certified technologists in just about every application and platform can help you earn up to 20% more. And a lot of people believe that this has increased their employability. And so understanding the cloud and understanding how data tools work allows them to give themselves more capabilities in the market and be able to make themselves more sellable to potential employers And not only that, but also to increase their compensation. One of the things that you get out of being certified, besides the ability to say, yes, I know how to use this tool, but Microsoft also gives you the ability to validate and verify that you can actually do what you say you can. And this is done through different types of things such as badging and employer verification tags that you can put into things like your social networking. On LinkedIn, quite often you'll see people put their badges on when they pass an exam. It's discoverable, so people can find you, and people can know that you might be interested in certain types of positions, and it allows you to be verified, right? So this is Microsoft's way of saying, yes, you've actually accomplished this. If you're old like me and you've been in the training business for a lot of years, you remember you used to get a certificate at the end of the course that you could go home and hang on the wall and show your employer and your HR department, yes, I actually took the course and I'll pay for it, kind of thing. These new badges and stuff sort of replace those old style certificates, and they're a little bit easier to use because you can share them, around in your social networking and so forth. Also in the portal that you have been given access to, there's a document there called the Win-Win of Certification. And basically what this is, it's a short book that gives you access to understanding how continuous learning can be important to yourself and also your organization. And so as an organization, if you contain the culture of certification and continuous learning, you can be much more productive. On average, it's been tested that you could get approximately 20% more productive because you have the ability to solve problems yourself. You don't have to go find it other places. You have you have some background and knowledge as to where to be able to find solutions or even how to use the tool. And it can make your organization and yourself more efficient and give you certain benefits, including insight into how it'll impact the business, your own personal and career development, direct relationship between continuous learning and higher pay, and just overall job satisfaction, not just by you, but by the people that you are supporting as well. Because if you can support the people that you work with or work for more efficiently, they're happy, the overall organization is happy, and things run more smoothly. So in terms of the courses that are recommended for you, the first course that you should take to sort of start your journey is this course, PL 300. And this course will then give you the materials that you'll need to understand for the PL 300 exam, which is the Power BI Data Analyst certification. And then from there, you can kind of go in a number of different directions, but it's recommended that if you're doing PL 300, you're probably on the data management, data analysis side. The DP 500, which is Enterprise Data Analyst certification. And then that will give you sort of a very top-end certification in data analysis using tools such as Azure and Power BI. If you've not done any of the basics or you don't seem to understand it, then it's a good idea to maybe start with some of the basic courses, which is PL 900, which is new if you're for Power Platform people that are new to the platform. So it's called Power Platform Fundamentals. And then the second one would be Azure Data Fundamentals, or DP 900, especially if you're new to the way that data works in the Azure platform. If you decide to take a class with Netcom, the advantages, of course, is that you get to actually have a live person teaching you the class, whether it's myself or another instructor, which allows for us to be highly interactive. The instructors are well versed in the tool, both from a technical point of view, but also from a real world experience point of view. Most instructors have day-to-day experience using the tools from different business points of view and can bring that into the classroom. As well, you're given a hands-on lab environment that will give you extensive experience where you can practice the skills that you're learning in the class. And so each of the courses have step-by-step hands-on learning guides that you work through. You get personalized virtualized environments. You get 180-day access to those environments so that you can practice and study up for the exam. Every course that you take is recorded, and you get up to 90 days access to the recordings, so you can go back and review. And you'll get full access to the Netcom 365 Learners Portal, which gives you access to your course materials and the virtual environments and tech support, which is 24/7. And lastly, if you feel that you need it, you would be able to give the opportunity to sit a free reset of any of the particular courses. About a year or so ago, Microsoft introduced the reviewed or renewal process for certifications. Previously, they would, once you're certified, and they would exist forever. And it was suggested that because the technology changes so much, it's probably a good idea that you have renewal exams. So every year you'll need to do a renewal certification. Those renewal certifications are online. They're free. They're done through the Microsoft Learn site, and they're basically open book. You can have your website open with reference materials to write the exam as well. The idea of doing this allows for continuous learning, so you keep your current skills up to date at no cost. It also helps to make sure that you're working with the latest technology updates and that you can validate your skills against those. And again, you don't have to pay to take another course or pay for another exam. It's free. So basically what happens is that 6 months prior to you expiring certification, you'll get a notification in email that will give you the opportunity to renew it. And you've got up to 6 months to actually renew the certification before it expires. And if you have to take the exam 20 times, then that's fine. The only limitation is you have to wait 24 hours after the first 2 attempts until you pass it. The key is that you do need to pass it prior to it expiring. If you don't do that, then you need to go and take the full exam again. And so, to avoid having the pressure of taking the exam and the cost of it, it's important that you, make sure that you stay on top of your renewals, do them on time. And if you do, if your renewal expires in April, but you do the renewal exam in November, you're still not, so as an example, let's say that your PL 300 certification expires on April 14th, 2023. If you wrote the exam, the renewal exam in October of 2022, your certification doesn't expire October 2023. It's still good till April 2024. So it's based on when your exam was originally passed and that original expiration date. So again, you'll get extra time for passing the exam sooner rather than later. And basically that takes us to the end of this presentation. Everybody, hopefully you got a bit of information. As I said, it's at a very high level, but hopefully you're interested and you get some certification and some training done, and you successfully pass the exams. So thanks very much, and I'll pass it back over.
Thank you, Brent. That was very informative. I know everyone is looking forward to the Q&A session, so go ahead and start putting your questions into the questions panel. And while you do that, I would like to give the presentation rights over to Sagnik, our vendor manager, to introduce you to our promotions and webinar-related courses.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, you are audible and we can see your screen.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today in this insightful session. I would like to announce that all the participants in today's session have been given exclusive free access to the Microsoft official courseware on PL 300 Power BI Data Analyst. The best part is you also get to claim your digital achievement badges on Microsoft Learn to celebrate your Microsoft skilling journey. To begin, you will need to click on the link provided in the chat box of your GoToWebinar viewer. Alternatively, you can click on the link in the downloadable event handout. Once you click on the link, you're going to be seeing this landing page, which is currently visible on my screen. It has all the detailed instructions and the visual cues to guide you through the entire process. I will also be demonstrating the process myself, and I'd highly encourage everyone to follow along with me. So first thing is you need to make sure you find your code listed here. This code is going to be used in the redemption process. Once you're ready, you load this up on your browser, and then you click on Get Started. The first step is you need to log into your Microsoft Learn account using your personal or professional Outlook or Hotmail account. If you don't have an existing account, there is also an option to create one. So let's start. We'll click on the sign in to Microsoft Learn. Once you click on this button, you're going to see this tab opening up, which is the Microsoft Learn website. On the top right corner, you'd find the sign in option. Once you click on this, it's going to ask for, once you click on this, you can see the credentials that is required here, which is a Microsoft account. You can use your personal or the professional Microsoft account to sign in. In case you don't have an account, you can click on the create one option and you can follow the instructions to create your own account. Once you're signed in, all you need to do is click here and you'd find the profile option over here, which is your step 2. Once you click on the profile option, you're going to see your profile page loading on the screen. Once you're on the profile page, you need to click on the Achievements tab from the left-hand panel. Once you click on Achievements, you're going to find the option, Have an Achievement Code, Redeem Your Code Now. At this point, you need to switch back to this tab. We are currently in the step 4. So we are going to be clicking on the Redeem Your Code Now. For that, we need to copy this code, which is mentioned on this landing page. So copy this code from here, switch back and click on this. And you find there is this dialog box wherein you'd feed in the code and you'd click on the redeem button. Once you're done with the redemption, you'd find all your achievement badges and the courseware added to your profile. So please feel free to share your achievement badges in your LinkedIn and other professional networks. And don't forget to tag Netcom Learning and Microsoft on all your posts for maximum visibility and reach. Congratulations and thank you everyone for participating in this process. Now we'd move on. I just walk us over some of the resources and offerings that we have related to today's topic. As part of the handout, you'd find the content section. Everything is hyperlinked here, so feel free to use these links to visit the specific section that you want to explore. A quick word about us, Netcom Learning. We are the winners of the 2022 Microsoft Learning Partner of the Year Award, being recognized by Microsoft as the top learning partner in the world, being selected from over 3,900 nominations across 100 countries worldwide. We have serviced over 80% of the Fortune 1000 clientele, and we have a significant presence within the US government sector, having served 100 plus US military bases. Overall, we have supported over 16,000 plus enterprise customers, having successfully trained over 175,000 professionals. We also enjoy a 96% recommendation from our client base, and all our trainings are delivered by a portfolio of 3,000 plus certified instructors. We are the one-stop solution for all your corporate upskilling needs, being an authorized training partner for every industry leading vendor, including Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, CompTIA, PMI, and more. As part of this handout, you'd find the link to today's session recording. Feel free to access this recording to revisit the concepts covered as part of today's masterclass. All the participants today have gotten access to our Netcom 365 learning portal. It is a highly effective tool that is leveraged by our customers in their scaling journey. We highly encourage all the participants to activate your portals and explore the resources available within Netcom 365. Now, quickly, let's take a look at some of the latest offers on the official Microsoft trainings and certifications. For our enterprise customers, we have the Microsoft Skilling Program, which is the one-stop end-to-end upskilling program spanning across the entire official training portfolio of Microsoft across product lines like Azure, Microsoft Security, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and Power Platform. Our solutions are highly aligned to industries verticals backed by industry specific subject matter expertise. These are highly customizable. So we tailor the offerings based on your specific training objectives, the specific use cases and projects that your team needs to deliver on. As part of this program, your team will be getting end-to-end skilling plan support, wherein we'd be identifying the skill gaps that exist within your learners, and we would find the most cost-effective and impactful Microsoft skilling plan to achieve your business goals. We also encourage all our customers to explore our 2-hour private group training demo. It is a great opportunity for teams to explore the benefits of hands-on Microsoft training. These are also highly customizable. So if you are interested and you have a team to train, get in touch with our learning consultants, and we can devise an agenda that fits your needs. And as part of this offering, you'd also get end-to-end support on deploying your skilling plan. Moving on, as it has already been covered by our instructor, you'd find some facts about certifications. We highly encourage everyone to also check out the official ebook from Microsoft on the win-win of certifications, how employees and businesses thrive through continuous learning. You can access this free resource by using the link included in this handout. Our Netcom Plus learner subscription is the ideal tool to maximize your team's training budget. It's a subscription model, so you pay one time and you get unlimited access to authorized training across vendors like Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, CompTIA, and more for a span of 12 months. There are 3 packages available under Netcom Plus. You can start and explore the offerings with the Silver package. We highly recommend you explore the Gold and the Platinum packages, which come with over 400 plus e-learning modules and 100 plus VILT course offerings. For our enterprise customers, we have the Learning Passport. So if you have a distributed team and you need access to flexible team training, Netcom Learning's Learning Passport is the tool for you. As under this solution, you get access to our entire authorized training portfolio covering 4,000 plus official courses. So all your funds are parked safely with us with a validity of 12 months. And once you maintain your training funds with Netcom Learning as part of the Learning Passport, you enjoy additional training fund value up to 100%. Feel free to learn more about this offering using the link here, and our learning consultants can guide you on how you can leverage this solution to power your uh, organizational skilling requirements. Now we would quickly take a look at the recommended courses related to today's topic. In this slide, you'd find the fundamentals and the role-based courses mapped here. Everything is hyperlinked. So all you need to do is just click on the course that you are interested in exploring, and you would be able to access all the related documentation on the same. We also encourage everyone to explore our upcoming free offerings. We have an event that is listed here. Feel free to use the links to register for the same. All our VILT classes are backed by an offer currently. So all the trainings that you take come with a certification exam voucher and the practice test included with the price of the course. For Microsoft classes that you take with us, you get an 180-day access to the virtual labs so that you can master your role-based skills. along with a 90-day access to the class recordings for you to refer back even after your training has completed with us. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks so much for guiding us through that information, Sagnik. And now we're going to go ahead and jump right into our question and answer session. Can I share desktop report to other users?
So desktop reports can only be shared with other users if they're going to be continuing the development of the report. You can't actually share it for those users as a way to actually share out the visualizations. To do that, you would need to deploy them to a Power BI service that we talked about previously. So as long as what you're trying to do is just get them to help you create the report and the visualizations, yes, you can do that. Otherwise, the answer is no.
How do I manage security with who can see data?
Okay, so there's two different ways that I can handle security in terms of who can access or who can view data responses that that you can hear or that you can get access to. One is through role-based access control through Azure Active Directory, and so that is a way that you'll be able to restrict who can see different types of data results and so forth. The other types of security is row-level security, where in the actual database or data source, you have row level access in terms of who can access what resources, what data, and so forth. And so between those two or a combination of the two, you'll be able to determine who can see what data as part of a visualization that you publish.
And the last question is, why should I use Power BI versus tools like Tableau?
First of all, it's cheaper. It costs less because it's included in, well, the Power BI desktop is free. So that's the first thing. Because the Power BI services are included with different office level subscriptions, that'll save you money as well. But also, if you plan on doing embedded reports anywhere, Power BI is the only one that supports iframes. And so because of that, it allows you to embed it directly into things like Power Apps or Dynamics 365, where Tableau and other applications won't let you do that.
Once again, I want to remind you that as you leave this session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to help us by taking a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience as we are constantly looking at how we can improve our future sessions. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. We want to thank all of you for joining us today, and if you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. We hope that you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us soon. Feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Have a great day, everyone.